Hey, Nationwide family. Jeff Rose, Director of Furniture and Bedding, is back for another wonderful segment on Industry Impact Series. And I have the one and only Joey Middleton from Elements International. How we doing, Joey?
Hey, doing great. Just ready to roll. And hey, we're just plugging along as best we can.
I love it. I love it. So, before we got started, before we went live on here, we had, Mike Whitaker was making fun of the Saints paraphernalia on the background, and I'm glad I got a Saints fan here with me right now. So
absolutely, who dat all the
yes,
way.
And yes, indeed. So, well, I just we wanted to, Mike came to us, Whitaker, and said, hey, Jeff. We've got some key vendor partners out there that we think, it's time to get them in front of the membership. We wanted to start this Industry Impact Series, and we know Elements, came onto the scene earlier this year as a key vendor partner. And so, Joey, you were one of the first ones I reached out to. So just thank you very much for coming on and just letting the nationwide membership know what's going on with Elements during this crazy time. So I got a couple questions. We'll take 20-30 minutes and kind of roll through and just kind of give the general landscape of what's going on with Elements and just how y'all are doing and how you're still out there helping the independent retailer.
Absolutely. Shoot.
Awesome. You ready to dive in, buddy?
Let's do it.
All right. So COVID-19, that's what's been happening. We were all, trucking along, and we had a great Elements launch at the beginning of the year. We went to prime time and had a huge show at prime time, and all of a sudden we all got smacked in the face with this craziness. And so, just the very first question I got for you is, how has COVID-19 impacted Elements?
Yeah, it's something that's caught everybody off to the kind of a blind side. It kind of is unprecedented. I would say, while for us, business has certainly slowed, the pace has slowed, but yet we continue to receive, ship orders. We're working with our factory partners to strategically address production requirements as they change. And Jeff, I'm happy to say that for the most part, our partners have been understanding and cooperative. What we're seeing out of Malaysia right now is they have a national shutdown. So we have closed our office and warehouse there until further notice, whereas our Vietnam office and warehouse continues to operate as business as usual, a little slower, of course, but functioning the same. And we're constantly monitoring the government decisions, anything that could potentially impact what's happening just for those shifts. But right now, like I said, while it's slower, we're still operating. And then domestically, what's happening is in Texas, we're still operating with our full-time staff. We continue to receive and ship orders, but we are mindful of the shelter in place, the social distancing guidelines, and to the point we've asked our internal staff that aren't essential to operations to work from home, and everybody is complying and actually getting ahead of a lot of projects. So it does allow us to catch up on things that maybe historically in the day-to-day grind of business we haven't been able to do. So that's been a positive. We have suspended operations at our Styline factory to simply adjust to the shutdown and consideration of employees' health. But Jeff, I'd say overall, we feel real good about where we are considering the circumstances. We're making smart cuts where it's appropriate to manage expenses. We've always acted like a startup, and for us right now, that's proven to be very helpful.
That's thanks for the update there. And when we first launched the program at the beginning of the year, I mean, I felt like we had some great momentum. We kind of almost came out like a shot out of a cannon. I mean, had a great momentum, and I know the membership was really excited about the partnership. And you kind of touched on when we'll move into the next question. We've got a lot of shelter in place states out there. Some dealers have had to close their doors, but either we have some that have online presence, and we have quite a few that are still open. And so, what would you say to them right now, just talking about, you were talking about Malaysia and things about that, about your supply chain, how has your supply chain been affected? But then the next part of that question, this will end and business is going to ramp up. Do you see any delays with supply chain once this ramps up? Because I do have a feeling that consumers are going to be knocking on all of our dealers' doors, and I think business is going to really pick up real fast. So I know it's a two-part question, but can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the disruption to the supply chain, I think everybody's trying to navigate accordingly. And other, maybe what I've already referenced as far as our trying to work with the factories, what's going on in Malaysia. I would say from a supply chain standpoint, where maybe our biggest concerns today is with the LTL carriers. It's making things a little bit more difficult. And although we have some national and local carriers that continue to operate at operating, they're not doing so at a high capacity. So there is an impact. I wouldn't personally categorize it as critical right now, but I think that's what I would do as far as just making people aware of situations like that, maybe when it comes to LTL, it would be a little maybe slower than what they're normally accustomed to. But it's something we're certainly watching closely, and then would have to be just very in tune and communicating with our dealers accordingly. As far as maybe what we're trying to do for our current partners, our dealer members out there, with the exceptions, with few exceptions, I should say, we feel real good about where our inventory levels are right now. They're strong, so we're able to, at the current state, fulfill the orders as they come in. That, like, again, with few exceptions, hasn't been a major issue. I think the other thing, and you kind of alluded to it, where the digital platform is certainly becoming a critical piece of what's happening. We've launched an extended aisle program so that our dealers can enhance their online options with Elements and continue to do business. So what that does is it expands their floor space digitally. It fills holes within their lineups, and it minimizes the impact on their warehouse, because a lot of times they're not actually stocking things there. Yet it gives them control of the customer relationship with the dealer, because or gives the dealer a control of the relationship with their customer, because they're basically the ones either still making the deliveries, having that personal touch, or allowing the customer to come and pick up from them. So those are just a couple of things that we're trying to be proactive with during this state we're in.
I love the endless aisle concept, and how can members and how can members get signed up for that, or is that something that they just reach out to the rep for, or what's the process with that?
Yeah. I think the best thing to do, you could reach out to Elements directly and just sort of raise a hand, and that's at elementsgrp.com. That would be, well, that's our website, but it would be sales at elementsgrp.com. You can either reach out to me, or reach out even to your own MSMs out there to have them contact us. Or if you already have a relationship with a Elements sales rep, then certainly that would be a route to go, just to sort of get the ball rolling and understand maybe what's involved and if it makes sense to do that.
Wonderful. That's great. I mean, these dealers, they're just looking for something different or something. So that's a great call out right there. I think that could be beneficial. So I know the membership will definitely take a look at that. So that's great.
Yeah.
And so we were talking, the next question I want to jump into is, independent retailers. That's something that that's in Nationwide's DNA. You guys have seen that since that y'all came on board. I know you guys have been selling a brick and mortar for years now, but I'm sure when you came on board at Nationwide, it brought on a whole different level with as it's part of our DNA. And so my question to you is, are y'all doing anything special to support the independent dealer right now during these hard times, while the craziness is going on?
Yeah, I think I just kind of alluded to a couple of things, just making, with our inventory levels being where they are right now, I think we're well positioned to meet the orders and requirements that are coming in. I kind of referenced that extended aisle program, but then also what we're trying to do is just to help support the independent dealers out there is continue to feed product information through our sales reps, through Nationwide's member.net, like our spring lineups, our catalogs. You kind of said something earlier that, at some point things are going to start turning. I don't want to say they'll get back to normal right away, but for those of us that have just been in business long enough, there's ebb and flows in life and just the business cycle that happens. And at some point, people will start, looking at buying, and we want our dealers to be in position and thinking ahead, not waiting to that moment. And kudos to Nationwide for being out front and trying to press the issue for your members to be thinking ahead. Don't think, well, let's wait till we get there and then I'll start to be proactive. Now's the time to do that. So we're trying to, push that information, let people know we're continuing to develop product. We're sending out product videos with High Point being canceled. We don't want people feeling like they're being left behind. So we're trying to just keep them abreast of things that we're working on, in the future coming forward.
You left me a nice softball conversation that I can't wait to have with you right now about our Nationwide Furniture Market live event. With the High Point getting canceled, and I know Elements is going to, y'all have agreed to participate, and I know y'all are excited at the end of April, and so appreciate you guys being a part of that. I know you're going to take the opportunity to hopefully show some new product and some current product, and maybe have a few specials for everybody. So thank you for being a part of that. And I think the timing's going to be hopefully perfect at being at the end of April. The dealers are going to be ready to get back to feeling normal a little bit, and hopefully, look at some great Elements products, and hopefully, bring some in. So appreciate that softball you just gave me right there, buddy. So,
you're welcome.
Yeah. All right. So, is there anything in that Elements has been doing that in Texas or around the U.S. that you'd like to share? That's I know y'all are really concentrating on the independent dealer, but just on a more national scale, just to help the U.S. I mean, I'd love to have you share if Elements is doing anything like that.
Yeah, it probably not a lot that's deviated from things that I've already mentioned. Our leadership, I've been very impressed with them. Again, I'm relatively new to the industry and new to Elements, but I've paid a very close attention to our leadership and some of the decisions that they've made, even in the months leading up to this. And while it's like we talked about, it impacts everybody, but nonetheless, you try to make wise and smart decisions, not to put yourself in such a hole that when a disruption happens, you're crippled. And that goes back to just making sure we're making wise decisions with inventories, the type of products, having good relationships with the factories. I know everybody says that, but at the end of the day, when things open up, if you don't have those relationships, that's where you kind of get put back at the end of the line. And so I feel good where we are when things open up, that we'll sort of be at the front of the production line and shipping and things like that, so that we can start addressing the demands that are out there.
Yeah, definitely. So just to recap, y'all are having challenges just like every other manufacturer that's out there, but your supply chain is healthy. You've got some really preparing and exciting things for the retailer with your endless aisle, going to participate in the Furniture Market live event. And so you guys are gearing up and a lot of inventory for when this thing blows over. So it sounds like, you guys are going to be, you're weathering the storm, but y'all are going to be ready to go once this thing lifts. And I mean, I know you got a great sales team out there, and y'all been partnering with the Nationwide team as well. So I know we're definitely going to get some of that momentum back, once this thing gets lifted.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So I'm going to ask you one last question, my friend. Okay. Sure. So I know we've all been home and a little bit more. And I mean, I got to ask, I mean, what's the one binge watching thing that you've either on Netflix or Hulu or something? Is there something out there that you've been just trapped on and can't take your eyes off of?
Wow, that actually is a good question. You may have me on that one. I think I've had withdrawals not having being a big sport fan, and with the start of baseball season being canceled, or at least suspended for now, that's created an issue. So actually, what I've done is gone back and watched a lot of reruns of past postseason World Series and
Oh, nice.
championship games. So that's actually been something that I've done. And for some reason, I've also jumped into the old Twilight Zone series, and have watched a few of those. Um,
Nice.
but anyway, so
Well,
yeah, good question. You caught me off on that
oh,
one.
I know. I threw you off on that one, buddy. But that's it's been funny just talking. You talk to just so many people, and everyone's got their challenges. And I always, so besides work, what are you doing? I've heard everything. I've heard people rewatching The Office, or I've actually had the comment of watching sports over again, just some reruns. And so it's just a question. I was just wondering. So it's all good. But Joey, I just can't thank you enough just for the partnership, the friendship, and we've just started this partnership at the beginning of the year. But I know Elements is going to continue to be a major factor for the nationwide membership and for all of us moving forward. So.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my pleasure. We appreciate you, appreciate the relationship and the partnership, and the interaction we've had with the members. So I thank everybody that's listening, and those that just for embracing us, and the hospitality. So thank you so much.
That's great. Well, Joey, that's going to wrap us up. And nationwide members, thanks for tuning in to our industry impact series with Elements International. So we'll be talking to y'all soon. Thank you very much, and see you next time.